Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lindsay, the Housewife Historian, and today we are joined with a very special guest. I'm going to let him introduce himself because he has a lot of titles, very important titles. So we're going to let him introduce himself, and today we're going to be talking about some housewives and headlines and NBC, Bethany, all of the tea. So make sure that you guys hit the like button, subscribe. I'm going to put all of his contact information in the description so that way you guys are able to access his podcast and find out more about Andrew. And I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Lindsay, first, thanks for inviting me here. I am Dr. Andrew Rimby, but I'll only say the doctor once just because I just got my
No.
PhD. So it's like a pat on the back of I did it. But so for everyone out there, I am an unapologetic gay literary scholar of literature, arts. I'm the host and director of the Ivory Tower Boiler Room podcast, but I also publish articles and go to academic conferences. So, as Lindsay knows, I'm on a tightrope in between academic work and also pop culture work. So, it's a fun exploration of media, which is what led me to Lindsay and my love of the Real Housewives.
Yes, yes. We actually got the pleasure of meeting each other face to face at Kim D and David Yontov's Behind the Velvet Rope Q&A in New York City. Was it in April?
April.
April.
I know it feels the time just has flown by, but it also feels like we could have just seen each other yesterday.
I know. We had fun. And they're coming to Philadelphia. Are you going to Philadelphia?
I hope to make it because I'm actually from the Philly area, from South
Yes.
Jersey originally. So I could see my family too, but we'll see. Like, as you know, timing, it all depends on what's happening that week. So I'll know in a few more weeks. But yeah, right now I live on Long Island.
Nice.
So we'll see if I can make it work. But if not, I know that I'll definitely be in David and Kim's company in the near future. But it looks really fun for everyone in the Philly area.
Yes, it does look fun. I'm excited. I have like, a lot of friends that I meet that I come across that those are like the chances that you actually get to like meet face to face and like hang out. So it's like fun. It's nice. Um but we want to talk a little bit about New Jersey, but we also want to talk about Bethany and NBC because there's a lot of opinions, strong opinions about what Bethany is trying to do, like unionize, and also what we didn't some people were interpreting it as an actual lawsuit, but the letter was actually not that. It was more of a letter of intent. Am I correct on that, Andrew?
Yeah, like I right before sitting down with you, I refreshed my memory, read through the letter,
Oh.
and it's really a legal action against NBC Universal.
Mhm.
Um, and I think all of it really came out from Bethany had done. Did you see that Variety article that had been written up?
No, I didn't. i
So
was
like
i was distracted by her TikToks.
yeah, well, like I first heard about her urging for unionization, right? So she wants all reality stars, but speaking as a former housewife, to really have housewives receive residuals, right? So to get paid every time the Real Housewives seasons are airing, which they don't get any residuals, even before SAG-AFTRA was went on strike. But SAG-AFTRA, they do get residuals for airing on, say, a network, but not on streaming platforms. But reality stars don't get any residuals. It doesn't matter if it's streaming or airing on a network. So
is
that's
that like
Bethany's first issue.
is that like across the board for like all NBC reality stars, and is it the same for like the three major three-letter networks like ABC's like Bachelor? I mean, because there was allegedly 80 people that signed on with her, and there were people from the Bachelorettes. Heidi Montag was on there. She was on like what was it? The
The
show with
Hills.
yes, yeah. I
Mhm.
didn't know she could. Chrissy Teigen was on the list, which
Yeah.
disgusted me. I'm sorry. And
Yeah.
there was just like a lot of people that it seemed like they were affiliated with more than NBC. So I did. I was
Well,
wondering. I should have looked that up.
this is how I found out actually, Lindsay, about what Bethany was planning, even before her Variety piece came out, even before this I think it's Mark Geragos is the attorney that she's affiliated with NBC Universal in the litigation. But she actually, on her Rewives podcast, I am a fan of it. I find a lot of empowerment with Bethenny's voice and platform. And she had Caitlin Bristow on. I don't watch The Bachelorette, but apparently Caitlin was one of the Bachelorettes.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole episode with Caitlin was about reality stars getting their due and unionizing. So I know through that ABC does not have residuals for their reality stars or a union. So yeah, Lisa Rinna has shown support. I looked at who are the stars even liking Bethany's post, because that's really telling from the Housewives universe. Jill
Danielle
Zarin.
Cabral. I named Danielle Cabral was one of them. She silently
Wow.
commented on a live that Bethany did and thanked her for her like dedication for the people that had climbed tooth and nail to get where they are. That was basically her comment. And Lisa Rinna was saying boycott BravoCon. She
Well,
was literally posting boycott BravoCon.
yeah, Nene is behind it.
Is she?
Yeah, but that's interesting. Danielle actually commented, because something I noticed, Lindsay, I wasn't surprised, but current housewives have remained very quiet, but former housewives have shown their support. So it seems they're trying to appease daddy Andy Cohen, and they have to really walk a fine line, because right, if they're a current housewife who's filming right now and
Mm-hmm.
they show support, they
Mm-hmm.
have to put their mouth, put the what is that saying?
Money where their mouth
Money
is.
where their mouth is. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And walk offset or actually protest. But I think Bethany, once I started to read this letter, it's
Mm-hmm.
not like outright that Bethany, um that their client is Bethany, because it says that their client is, as you said, from all across the NBC Universal reality TV world. So there's a lot who I think we don't even realize are putting their name
Mm-hmm.
behind this legal case. I do think that there's a lot of traction behind this, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see the New Jersey, right? We're talking about New Jersey. New Jersey's not even filming right now, and I think we might be waiting a really long time with Jersey because of the legal case.
I think so too. I think so too. And I think Ziggy Flickers, like she did an awesome podcast, but I think that's gonna put them behind a little bit too, because she said some very, very, very powerful things about people that used to work for. We don't want to give out their whole podcast, but she like basically named producers that don't work there anymore, but she still protected Andy. And I noticed that Bethenny made a statement to the press that Andy knows exactly what's going on between production and Bravo. And that's kind of the opposite of what Ziggy's saying. Ziggy's saying Bravo wanted to accommodate me. They were going to do anything that I wanted, except fire Margaret, I guess. I mean, that would have been the only solution, maybe. I don't know, because of the producer situation with the Gorgas, which I kind of felt like she didn't really want to mention that either, because we saw posts of the Gorgas out to eat with one of the head producers as well, I think. And yeah, so also I noticed it was very tactical that Below Deck featured 2 episodes back to back, which is not like them. And one of the producers, there was a very this was like a warning, trigger warning. There was a situation with like a drunk man. Did you see this, Andrew? Doctor
No,
Andrew?
please explain this.
Oh my gosh. So there's like a deck man, and he's like very intoxicated. I don't normally follow Below Deck, but I didn't know the characters necessarily, but he was so drunk, he was naked. The electric went out, and there was a young woman like sleeping on the top bunk, and she like had her back she was like facing the wall and had her back to the camera, and the electric goes out, and he's naked, and he the door's like half open, and he climbs up on the bed almost on top of her, and production goes in and they're like, hey, you gotta go. So he lays down beside her, and production is like now like right beside him, face to face on the bunk. Like, you got to get down. They fired him that night, and they made him leave. Even rumors that he might have like done something for the power to go out, because he was like irate that they were making him leave the room. It was a little, it was trigger, it was a little intense. So people are really praising production for stepping in and potentially saving, this girl from, like, I mean, we don't know. He was very, I would have been like, he was very drunk and he was very angry. Like, it was very crazy. And I thought it was strange that they would air 2 episodes. So in my mind, I'm like, I feel like they want production to be looked at in a better light because of all the bad press that's been going around. So instead of waiting to air the episode next week, they were like, nope, we're going to air it this week because we have so much bad press around production. If we show production saving this young woman, maybe we can get some good press around it.
Well, and then how about Brandy Glanville's podcast that she had on? I'm just looking at it really quick, but
Yeah.
she actually had an episode about unionizing
Mm.
and had on someone from, oh, yes, it was called Unexpected Life Lessons of Reality Shows with Nick Thompson, who was in Love is Blind. So there
Oh.
is, isn't it interesting though, right? Brandy, Bethany, Jill Zarin, Siggy, Nene. There's, like you said, there's no coincidence why all of this is being aired right now. Like, I think because reality TV is still going and all scripted has stopped, the
Mhm.
reality stars are saying, wait, we have a lot of issues to work on. We need to figure all this out and air all of our grievances. And I think they have
Mhm.
every right to. Like, they need to be protected, in my
For
opinion.
sure. For sure. I just think that, like, they have to be careful how it's approached because, unfortunately, like, we do see, there's you have to know your audience. And so if your audience is single moms or working women that are working from home or whatever the case may be, I think we're just in a time where things are expensive and you see people are not living like they were able to, I think, with the price increases. And so when you see really people that are more have a higher tax bracket with complaints, it sometimes doesn't like air well. So I just think that Bethany has to know her audience a little bit better because you can't go to these people. Like when Andy Cohen complains about how long he has to sit at the reunion because he has dinner plans. Like, anyone would love to be Andy Cohen and make the money. It's just comes off really bad. It doesn't land well with me. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I mean, I would have to say, like, I'm trying to compare Bethany as the voice right now to an analogy with Fran Drescher, right? Fran Drescher is the president of SAG-AFTRA. Fran Drescher, though, she has the statistics about, I think it's 80%, around 80%. I mean, everyone out there might know it better than me, but around 80% of actors don't even make that minimum of, I think it's $27,000 a year for like the threshold to make health insurance. So I would like to know, I feel like Bethany would be a good spokesperson for the union of reality TV. I just think we now we need statistics. Like, we need how
Yeah.
many reality television personalities, what kind of salaries. Like,
Yes.
maybe that's why they're starting to be more transparent. Like, maybe that's why Bethany said, I only made 7,000 my first year, and Jill Zarin concurred. And like,
Mhm.
even Siggy said, I made 60,000 the first year of Jersey, the next year it's 120,000. But your first year as a housewife, you actually are putting out more money for the lifestyle and your image. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think if we had more statistics,
Yes.
then the audience would understand that a lot of these reality stars, quote unquote, are actually in a deficit of money. They're
Mhm.
not on the Teresa Giudice end. Like, that's a long way to
Mhm.
work up on the ladder.
Right.
It takes a long way to climb into
Right.
a Teresa position.
I love that. I love numbers. I love facts. I think that's a great idea. My only like confusion a little bit with I lost my train of thought. I was thinking of Heidi from the Hills for some reason, but I think that Bethany would do a great job spearheading it, but I wonder about her fiance. Do you know anything? Her fiance is in the production, movie, television industry. He's very well to do. So that kind of like gives me a question mark, because I feel like that would cause might be problematic in their relationship, because it's kind of like they might be on different teams.
Hmm. I'd
Yeah.
have to. I don't really know. I know that he doesn't want to be an on-screen presence. Like I know he's very, except he was on the Jill and Bethany footage,
Mm.
and I actually. That's interesting though that you're saying he is in production.
He's in. I'm gonna look it up exactly, but
Okay, but I do know that there was a whole discussion that Bethany had that I thought was really interesting.
mm-hmm.
And she actually liked one of my TikTok videos that featured her discussion about the reality TV strike. So like she's really
Yes.
keeping an eye on the call from the audience to spearhead some kind of platform of unionization. And what did interest me though, and I agree with her on this, is I've been keeping an eye on the numbers. I'm not sure if you are too, Lindsay, but how many people were watching these YouTube videos of Jill and Bethany, but also Nene and Carlos King? Nene and Carlos King almost have 1 million from part
They're killing
one.
it. They're killing it. They're
It's
I,
higher than any current housewife show.
yes, yes, killing it. Like a network is missing out on them. And honestly, I said Kim Zolciak needs money. If I was Nene and Carlos, I'd be like, Carlos King production, baby. Like, right? We'll be our own production, because I would get Kim on board. She needs the money. Kit, Nene could spearhead it. Carlos's production.
Oh, I
You get
wouldn't be surprised, right? Because Carlos has Love and Marriage, and he does have EP credits and has created his own reality platform. I wouldn't be surprised, Lindsay, if we see a Nene show, like something where she's leading a cast soon. And I think Bethany is trying to maybe create a reality show. Like, I
I think
wonder if,
she could too.
yeah, because why do you think it was finally time for Jill and Bethany to come together? Like, what do you think was behind the decision?
I don't know. I mean, I think Jill's been in the press the last couple of years more than we've ever seen. And I did she do the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip? Because see, what is throwing me off is that all these ladies went to Morocco and filmed, and we're not seeing it. Like they filmed together. Was Jill on that trip? No,
No.
she hasn't done any Real House
She,
Ultimate Girl. She hasn't
she
done
just she did
anything.
the one with Dorinda in
There, okay,
Bluestone
okay.
Manor.
I was gonna say, I thought I'd seen her. So I feel like she's trying to just like dip her toe a little bit in the water. But also, I think Jill's in a position where she doesn't care either. Her and Bethany are sort of, 13 years, you grow a lot. It's kind of like when you're in your 20s and you call up from work and you're like, I'm sick, but I'll come in. I'm sorry. And then when you're 30, you're like, take it out of my PTO. I'm not coming into work today. So
Yep.
you just don't care. You care less and less, I think, the older that you get. And then, of course, like your children and your family are older. They don't care about these things, aren't so relevant. So it was like good for press. It was good for Bethany and Jill to come together. It was good for image. It was probably a nice reunion, because sometimes I think the early cast were genuine friends, right? So they might have started out liking each other, but by the end, production gets involved and, we have a mess. But I wanted to say that Paul actually, this is confusing because it says he's a film producer, a businessman. His best film was Best Kept Secret, was awarded something in 2014, but then on Wikipedia it says he's managing partner at PMB Ventures, which is a private holding company focusing on investments in real estate, entertainment, and venture capital.
Wow. Okay, so he has a lot going on in his life. Oh, and I will mention this podcast just because I really like the host of it, but it's called with Jess Rothschild. It's called Hot
Mm,
Takes and Deep Dives. And
mm,
guess what? I'm just looking as we all do, Lindsay, on our new episodes for the day. And I see this one that's really interesting called Bethany and Jill Zarin's reunion producer, Chris DeRosa. And I was like, wait, you mean their YouTube reunion? Yes. She was joined by the producer Chris DeRosa behind Bethany and Jill Zarin's reunion and Bethany's YouTube series. He just gave an interview. I didn't listen yet, but he's a veteran reality TV producer who, guess what, was behind 5 seasons of RHONJ last season, including last season's um, RHONJ. 5 seasons of RHONJ and last season's RHONJ. He's the one who actually produced Jill and Bethany's reunion on YouTube.
so it was
It
produced.
was produced.
I see.
Because I'm
See.
like, oh, wait. The way Bethany described it was she was in a Muppet show and there was just like all these carrier pigeons basically bringing everything. But no, Chris DeRosa has an extensive resume. So
Mm,
there's
mm.
something Chris DeRosa, maybe he's trying to start a Bethany Jill, some spinoff, their own
Maybe.
spinoff.
Maybe. I mean, I don't think that would be a terrible idea
Mhm.
considering I feel like they have Luann and Sonia doing, what is it called? Cracky Lake, Crappy
Crappy
Lake.
Lake. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
I mean, I watched it. I think it's cute. I love Sonia. I love Luann. So I love and support them. It's cute. It is, funny. They are sort of like a little bit of an older version of Paris Hilton in The
Yeah.
Simple
They're
Life.
kind of more, in my opinion, like Lucy, I Love Lucy, like the two comedians with the
Yes,
chocolate
and
factory,
Ethel. Yes,
Lucy and Ethel. But
yes.
I have to say, Luann has actually really grown on me in
Mm.
Crappy Lake. I actually find her to be grounded and so boots to the ground, sleeves
Oh,
rolled up. Sonia's fun, but she always puts on a shtick. But that's just like I find her comedic gold is. But Luann to me has really, um, I think, stolen the show of Crappy Lake.
mm, yes. She's come a long way. I mean, we have to
Mhm.
remember she was having issues. Well, I don't know if she had issues with alcohol, but she had an issue where she was arrested and she was intoxicated, and there was an issue, and she was on probation, and then she wasn't supposed to be drinking. But I think that there was some drinking going on while they were filming, and there was some issues because she had like a probation officer in Florida, but she was in New York. But it was a couple of years that she was like dealing with that, and then she quit drinking for a while, and she came out with like this. It was unalcoholic, like sparkling, and she would hold it in a glass because she said it made her feel better when she was around people and being social, that she had a glass to hold, and it was sort of the routine of holding a glass of wine and sipping it while socializing. So I thought that was like interesting because we know so much about allegedly Kyle Richards not drinking for nine, or no, it's been a year. She just celebrated a year, and the whole ex-girlfriend or everything. It's crazy over there. But do you think that that is again produced in competition of Vanderpump Rules and like the huge scandal that happened with them? Do you think that the Kyle Richards and the girlfriend and Mauricio, is that like produced for press in competition for Vanderpump Rules?
I definitely think, as we know in entertainment and media, nothing is completely spur of the moment. And especially when it comes to a public image, I find it really interesting that when we talk about Kyle Richards, that we actually haven't gotten the trailer yet for the new RHOBH. I'm very curious to see. I have a feeling that we're going to get a lot about Kyle and Mauricio's marriage. I'm sure Morgan Wade will be on the show in some capacity. I wonder if she's going to be Kyle's friend on the show. Because remember, we don't know all the new friends of the show. Or I actually even heard there's a new Real Housewife. Like they've been very careful not to show
Yes.
images with any of the new women.
Yes.
I because remember, right? Lisa is now no longer on it. So they're trying to probably fill the eccentric slash blunt personality, like the comedic role in a way, who
For sure.
owns it. So maybe Morgan. I don't know. I listened to Morgan. I don't know enough about her. It seems like she's gone through a lot.
Mm,
And I heard that Kyle, right? She stopped drinking. I think Morgan also is sober.
3 years. She's
Yeah.
3 years
But
sober.
right then we found out that Kyle is behind producing Morgan's documentary, or type a series that I think it's a documentary.
I
Yeah.
didn't
So
know that.
yeah, no, Kyle is now starting to go into production. Um, always,
Wow. I
you
didn't,
know,
first of all, I
we
didn't.
always knew that Kyle. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'm blown.
No,
Please
go
tell me
ahead. Go ahead.
everything. Tell me everything. Start from the beginning. Don't leave anything out.
Yeah, no, no. Sorry, I think there was a
Like,
like internet issue, but Kyle, like everyone always joked that Kyle was the secret producer of RHOBH, but no, she's actually a producer now for a documentary. But do I think that she, you know, I'm a gay man, I don't speak for queer women, but do I think she might be into Morgan? I don't know. It's that whole, though, it came from People magazine, and People is a source that we trust. Like, it's not Page Six or, the Daily Mail. Like, it's something that usually has more fact checking. And I thought it was written by the Real Housewife, um, that writer who did the Real Housewife book, Dave
oh,
Quinn.
yes, yes,
I think Dave
yes.
Quinn wrote the piece about Kyle Richards. So again, though, did Bravo give Dave Quinn a little nudge and have him come out with that piece for press and publicity? I do think this is going to be the whole drama on RHOBH. I think it's all going to be about Kyle's marriage.
You
Um,
think?
I think so. I don't think there's anything else going on RHOBH. I miss Lisa Rinna already. I thought that Lisa called out Kathy Hilton. I think that Kathy put her foot in her mouth. She did admit that things went down. Remember, all the women, though, admitted that she had a blow up at the club. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even her biggest fans, Crystal, Sutton, they said she was off
A
the wall.
meltdown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They never just followed up. They never followed up on it, though. That was kind of my issue, is why couldn't they just like fully air what happened? And why couldn't Kathy just take accountability? And then that's what Lisa was trying to have her do, in my opinion. But
I completely agree with you. I just think that was Kathy Hilton's like that was never even a choice. Like I feel like she's very protective of her image and she will go to no lengths to protect it. And I think there were a lot more legalities and legal and attorneys and stuff going on behind the scenes that Bravo didn't even probably want us to know, because if we knew, then we would be like, what is she hiding? But the fact that we had no audio from the van, no audio from their house, nothing like to corroborate that, I don't believe it. I think they had stuff and just didn't air it.
yeah, well, I could right, we could predict what the narrative is going to be of RHOBH. It's going to be, what I'm actually excited about is Erica's rebirth. We're going to get the whole Vegas residency and her going back into music. We're going to have Garcelle, I'm not sure about. It's either going to be she's found a new boyfriend, um, maybe Sutton. I heard that Sutton brings the drama. Apparently, that's what Erica said in a recent interview. Um,
Mm.
I hope Dorit. I loved Dorit in the early seasons. I want that Dorit. I want her to hold people accountable and just she's humorous. Like, I always found Dorit humorous, but then I thought she kind of, remember in dodgeball in gym class, the person who would always hide behind people to get to the end? That's how
Yes.
I see Dorit now. She's like, please no. Like, but I do, maybe she'll be a little more forceful with Erica, like joining Erica's alliance. I could
Mm,
see them and
mhm,
maybe Crystal. I think
mm,
Crystal's the wild card. I like
mhm.
Crystal, but I don't know which side she's going to choose in this Survivor fight.
Yes. And don't forget, we've seen Camille come back, Camille
Uh,
Grammer films. We've seen Kim Richards come back and allegedly film. And also, wasn't there word that Denise, was it Denise?
yes.
Denise.
Yeah, Denise
So
is back.
I don't know. They're kind of leaving us in the dark. Like you said, they're really great about being private about who's filming and who's present. But they, one, did not film for very long, which does give me the feeling that the major storyline was about Mauricio and Kyle. I feel like Kyle was taking her turn in the cycle of taking one for the team, right?
Mhm.
She took one for the team when it came to Andy Cohen because Andy was getting frustrated that people were still talking about the Real Housewives of New Jersey because it was igniting, it was like snowballing. Like the more people talked about it, the more attention it got. It
Yep.
would rile people up again to keep posting and talking about it. And I think that that kept the ladies bickering. And Andy wanted to get to a place where they could get them to at least understand that they were both going to be coming back regardless and to accept contracts and basically starve them out. I think, in my opinion, Andy is starving them out.
The
He's
New Jersey, you're talking about the whole Teresa Melissa.
And the pause. Yep. Yeah.
The pause.
I
Oh
think that
yeah.
Kyle took one for the team to be a distraction because Andy Cohen did an interview like a day or two before the Kyle Richards separation came out, and he was like, people need to just let New Jersey go. Like he didn't, it was from his office, which was very rare. I've never seen Andy Cohen behind a desk and do an interview. Like,
Mhm.
it was weird. And so I felt like it was a complete distraction to get people to zip it about New Jersey so that, it was fueling the fire.
Yeah, well, and do you find it weird too? Because I knew I would talk with you, of course. I'm like doing all the market research in the housewives world. But isn't it odd that we have 3 Bravo shows, like, all housewives oriented on a Sunday? Like, we have Crappy Lake, RH Atlanta, and we have the new New York.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
find that really odd that they're not spaced out,
Mm-hmm.
right? We only have Orange County on Wednesday, and that's
Mm-hmm.
it. Like, those
Mm-hmm.
are our housewives shows.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, is that just because the viewers are so low that it was all, let's package it like Crappy Lake? We need Bethany and I mean, not Bethany. We need Luann and Sonia, and we need that legacy demographic to tune into the new one. And then
Mm.
maybe they'll tune into Atlanta because Atlanta's done so poorly this season.
I know. And I really would like to see them do well. I always say, like, Bravo doesn't promote them like they should. They don't give them the
They don't.
press that they should. And I think that that is definitely a handicap for the franchise, more so than viewers probably realize. And it's unfortunate because they're a legacy and they have the potential, right? They were an amazing franchise for years and years. And I just feel like they don't have the right people working for them.
Yeah, they used to be number one. I mean, that's what Nene always talks about. I have to say, I think, in my opinion, I like Atlanta a lot, but the drama was just getting um you can really feel the manufactured sense, especially I find that there's not a lot happening in terms of thinking. It feels like Candy, who I really like, has checked out. She's like, "Okay," because she's put in so many years, and I think she thought someone else would pick up the drama like Drew, but Drew, right, there's the marriage issue, but it's not as captivating as I think the other housewives thought it would be to just stir the pot.
Mhm.
I love Kenya, but I really think Kenya thrived when Nene was there.
Yes, 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 she did. She absolutely did. And even when she
Yes.
was Cynthia, she was good. But she definitely, I don't know if it's production. One of the girls from the show, the cousin Courtney, which I'm a little skeptical of her. But she did do an interview on Behind the Velvet Rope and said that Kenya was terrible behind the scenes to production, which is a pretty harsh thing to say. If I hope that she has the receipts for that, because I don't know. I've never heard that about Kenya. Have you heard about her ever being
No, I've only heard
professional?
her being really professional, especially on Dancing with the Stars and The
Yes.
Apprentice, anything. I mean, Kenya is, in my opinion, has really, I mean, she's Gone with the Wind fabulous. Like, she's had such iconic moments. Like, to me, it's, I would say, Nene, Kenya, Candy,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like, are the ones I think about. Like, yes, Kim, I'm not a huge Kim Zolciak fan to begin with, but that could be for another time. Uh, but yeah, but maybe back to Jersey. Just
Yes.
I like, how are you weighing in? Because I know you post so much. I always find it so intriguing. I think it's the franchise, maybe because I grew up in Jersey. I understand the lexicon, that energy, the bluntness. Like, they're the ones that I'm in most communication with when it comes to housewives who I message. It's mostly Jersey. Um, that Yeah, like you said, there's just so much up in the air. I've even heard some advocating for a completely new cast like New York.
Really? I must not be on that side of TikTok.
No, well, I've also heard the other theory. Well, that was what Carlos King said. Like,
Oh,
he
okay.
could
Okay.
see that happening. Um, but I actually think there's another possibility, which, like you're saying, with the starving out method. I also, when Danielle and Rachel were brought on last season, I thought maybe Danielle and Rachel will be the only ones remaining, and then everyone else will be new from their friend group, especially with her brother. The whole brother conflict and social media. I thought, wait, this is just Teresa and Melissa all over again. I'm like, we're gonna have a brother, the like sister-in-law. I think they paved the way for that.
I think so too. I wonder, like, it's so funny that you say that you could see them centering the show around like Danielle, or yeah, Danielle and Rachel, because I was wondering, like, if Bravo really does bring Melissa and Teresa both back because they believe there's unfinished business, is that because the next year they're gonna like drop everyone and start fresh, or start with, just Danielle or Rachel? But then again, I feel like Teresa brings a lot of money in for Bravo, but maybe Louis behind the scenes is like a headache for them. And they're taking it out on her, because there is definitely a shift in the dynamic with Andy, and I don't know why. And Teresa doesn't seem, I don't feel like any of us really know what could have transpired that would cause that to happen.
Well,
It was
I've heard a
evident.
lot about, right? You've heard a lot about a possible spinoff with Teresa. I've heard that with her daughters.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, I think Louis is the one who's causing a major headache with what's going to happen with the current season. But what's we've loved about Jersey is the husbands. So it's like, if you now ice out all the husbands, then you don't get Joe Gorga.
Mhm.
And to a lot of the fan base, Joe Gorga is the one who causes like hijinks, pranks, like brought the shots. And you had Frank Catania, right? Without Joe Gorga, Frank Catania is not going to be part of anything.
Right, right. Yeah,
And
I love
yeah,
Frank. But I've always like had a lot of respect for him, and he helped me out in a situation like a couple of months ago. So I always appreciate that. But I definitely think that you're right that at one point people loved the Real Housewives of New Jersey husbands. Like, they loved them a couple of years
mhm.
ago, and something shifted in the audience, because there was a lot of, I don't know if it was Dolores getting a boyfriend. I'm not sure, but it just seems like there was a lot of negativity like getting geared towards Frank, and I didn't really see a reason why, but unless if it was because of Dolores and Polly. I'm not sure. Did you notice
well,
the shift?
and have we ever really, though? Again, I have only amazing things to say about the whole Catania family. I actually recently I did a TikTok about seeing Frank Catania Jr. at Asbury Park. Like, I literally like was like with my friend Lawrence, and it was my first time in Asbury. We were like all with gay men just like dancing up a storm. And then I like look out at the beach bar, and I don't drink. So I had an amazing, I now always ask every bartender, I'm like, give me the best mocktail. And it was this wonderful pineapple, like tropical sparkling soda. I tell you, those drinks, yeah, you don't need alcohol. But okay. Uh, but anyone out there, drink responsibly. We all have our own pathway.
Yes.
I do it for fitness and just health purposes. But
Sure.
I look down, Lindsay, and who do I see but Frank Catania Jr.? And I'm like, wait, it's Frank. And I didn't go talk to him because he was with his girlfriend. And I'm just a very boundary person. I like think of what would it be like in my shoes.
Mhm.
And but he was so sweet. Like once I posted that video, he said, "You should have come and said hi to me." And then
Aw.
Frank Sr. said, "You should have talked to him." And then Dolores even weighed in and said, "You need to talk to him next time."
Aw, that is so
They were
sweet.
cute.
They are the nicest family. I met them whenever I didn't meet Dolores, but when Joe Gorga did a stand up on BravoCon Eve last year in New York City at Caroline's, Frankie Jr. was there, and he was like literally the nicest, most respectful, handsome young man I've like ever met in my life. He was
Oh, he's
so
handsome.
sweet. Yeah,
He
he
is
he
handsome.
is handsome. The
But
pool boy was there too, though. So I was like, I feel like the pool boy is more my age, I guess.
mhm. Well, I mean, I also have something for Joe Gorga, but that's my own like interest. Maybe it's the rumor of Tarzan. I want to see if the
Oh,
rumor is true. And
I
remember, he
think
was
you
the stripper.
can. I think you can in like episode in like season 8 or something. I think you can. There's like a shower scene. I think we
Oh,
can check it out.
see how like big the image is that blocks out that area.
Yeah.
But well, and I always remind everyone, but there was the rumor about Melissa, but I say, doesn't anyone remember when Joe actually admitted that he was a stripper like Chippendales?
Yes, he
I'm like,
was.
we should have followed that storyline. But you know, no, I
Yes.
have like Melissa's messaged me. I'm so torn because I know this is a reality show and I don't want to like be too meta and behind the scenes, but I sometimes think, are Teresa and Melissa just fooling us all and they actually are on okay terms and they're just ramping this drama up? But it does seem that it's so passionate and really hit a chord. But again, was it really spurred by Louis? Were they in an okay place? Right? Dina had a falling out with Teresa because of Louis and apparently another business deal that went wrong with Dina's husband.
Mm.
Right? And then Frank Jr. and working for Louis. And then remember the reunion, Dolores put the kibosh on any further discussion.
Mhm. Mhm.
It seems like there's a common denominator, but
Mhm.
um I do. I like Melissa, maybe because I know that kind of personality in Jersey. I think that she seems to mean well, but I will say she's very into her image, but so is Teresa. I actually think they both are very similar. They
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
communicate differently. Like I think they have the same end goal. They just are butting heads because of their similarities in
Mm.
what they want out of the show.
That's interesting. I've like actually heard that perspective before because somebody said like basically, and actually Juicy Joe said the same thing when he like married Teresa. He heard all about her brother, her brother, her brother, her brother. And probably when Joe got with Melissa, he idolized his sister, which activated Melissa to, replicate Teresa and then Teresa getting on the show. And my opinion, I think I always tell people like go back and watch some of the older seasons. Like I really think that sometimes that's an eye-opening experience. Like I always tell people like research it yourself. Like I'll tell you, but it's there. There were articles like back in the day about Melissa's alleged like friend in Florida when she was down there, but like I don't like to, nobody wants to out, but she's like she talks friendly about it and says she like dipped in the women pool in college. Didn't she say that? Melissa
Oh,
did told us.
Melissa. I'm not
Yeah, the
sure,
lady
but I
one.
wouldn't be Melissa does seem very what I like is she seems more sexually open than Teresa
Mhm.
does.
Oh yes, for sure.
Teresa's a more prudish. Well,
Yes.
wait. Teresa talks about her pineapple, eating pineapple, but when it comes
Reserved.
to reserved, yes, I think that Melissa is more open about talking
Hmm.
frankly about
Hmm.
even though she'll joke with Joe, like, stop, you always make everything about sex. I think when it comes to hearing it from other people, she's open, where Teresa, I think, doesn't really want that to be the center of conversation.
Yeah, I think she's probably like uncomfortable with it because that's sort of, they probably didn't talk about it at home. A lot of people, like, just like when they don't see their parents be affectionate with each other, then they grow up to kind of not be affectionate with their partner, or they're uncomfortable with affection. Like they have to work at it, notice it's an
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that where I kind of get lost is like, because Melissa has like two sisters, and
Mhm.
I do think they were very protective of her. Like, not saying that's wrong, just I think they've been protective of her. Whenever there was like issues, a couple like season 3, there were like a lot of tweets from the sisters, even towards NBC about Melissa. So like they are not scared to protect her, and I always kind of felt like it was like three. Your sisters are gonna protect you, and Teresa kind of was on the other end of that a lot when Melissa was
Mm.
upset, and Melissa was young, and she was a young mom still. I think she was fairly young when she started the Housewives, so I'm sure she was a petty patty, a
Well,
petty patty.
and I think, but well, one of my questions for you, Lindsay, is A, do you think that the Bravo audience can forget everything that aired about allegations, especially that Margaret brought out about Louis and even John Fuda with Louis? Do you think people can have amnesia and that the season can go on and let bygones be bygones? Or was his reputation so damaged from everything? And B, do you think that was one of the highest rated current Housewife seasons with all the negativity? Is the negativity what's bringing in the viewers? And if that's the case, is that why we're seeing such a whoop dip of RHOC, RHOA, even the new RHONJ? Is it because the viewers are so accustomed to, say, private investigators, someone may be going to jail, Jen Shah.
Mhm.
Are we just so used to the heightened drama that we can't go back to someone fighting over what restaurant someone ate at?
Right. I think that what we have always seen in New Jersey that's always pulled in the numbers is like they're authentic. They are authentic friends. They've been friends before the show. That a lot of them they grew up together. And Patterson, Dolores, Frank, they've known each other for decades, and so we see a different dynamic that is authentic. It's not manufactured. It's not forced. It's not you bring on this random girl and tell the audience that this is your friend. Like it's authentic, and so the audience can see that. And then also I think that the drama between the brother and the sister is again authentic. It's not manufactured. There's definitely real tension there and has been for years, and so it makes it a little bit different. I think the OC has a lot of issues over there. I don't know what they're going to do, but it is not good. I think we're going to see Heather move to Beverly Hills, but to New Jersey, they have something that none of the other franchises have except for Atlanta. That's why I think Bravo's really missing out on monetizing on Atlanta, because when you have people like an audience that's still interested in your talent and you have authentic friendships, you should roll with that, in my opinion, because it's going to get you ratings. You know.
Well, and I wonder if they're ever going to start to, right? You mentioned Heather. How about, I don't know when this is coming out, but how about in one of the earlier, not earlier, but in one of the summer episodes of RHOC, Heather just announced that she had that moment when they're selling the home in OC, and she says, "This represents my old life or my old career." And I'm thinking, oh, you mean being on RHOC? Like, it was just such an interesting moment. And I like Heather. I have to say, I really like, for some of these housewives, I'll admit it, I actually like when they're on their own platforms. For some
Mhm.
of them, I think that they do a better job when they're on their podcast. Like Heather, for me, is one of those housewives where I hear her on a podcast with Melissa Rivers, and
Mhm.
I think, wow, what nuance, what intellect, like what you're getting all the depth of her. But then when you see her on the Housewives, it's the Shamps Heather. It's the I have a full staff to help my children go to college. And I'm thinking, wait, this is not like, yes, we want to see that lifestyle, but this is extravagant, like beyond means of people.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but I don't think that's who she is in everyday life. I think it's who she is on the podcast. I think Margaret Josephs is who she is on Caviar. Um, her podcast about, right,
She's on with Lexi. Is that
with
it?
Lexi, yes,
Yes.
yes. And Lexi's so sweet because I messaged Lexi. And
Mhm.
Margaret I've had good interactions with. But again, I like the Margaret there. Like I think you get to see her shine on her own platform. And I
Mhm.
think that's how it is for even Melissa Gorga's podcast. I'm like, oh, okay. Her and Joe are fun together. Like they do talk about all different topics. It's not always about Teresa. But again, when you're brought into a group like this, you're going to have to try to manufacture tension together.
Mhm.
And right, RHOC, I've actually enjoyed watching it. I am kind of getting the hots for Jen's husband, Ryan, because he might be such a player and I'm kind of
He's
into the
a
bad
total
boy.
player. You can tell he is
No, it wouldn't be a
lovely.
good it wouldn't be a good choice for me. But um but I thought maybe if he's doing all this with women, maybe he's also in the male pool, but who knows? I like Tamra. She's coming on really hot. Very hot. The whole napkin throwing was not that dramatic in my opinion. Like, if you throw a napkin at me, I probably would just go back to eating. I'm like, whatever. Um But I actually really like Taylor. I am a Taylor fan.
I'm a Taylor fan too, and I just felt like I don't know. She's like not getting a lot. I don't. Well, there were issues with her edit. That was allegedly what had like prolonged RHOC coming out. I don't know. I've been trying to like figure out what that issue was and what's
Well, they
how
said
they.
she might have been a full-time housewife. I think that was the
Oh,
issue.
okay, that makes more sense because I wondered what we were going to see from her because she's been living in the OC for a while now. Kelly Dodd, her daughter is like around the age of Taylor's daughter,
Oh yeah.
and so I think that they like had seen each other dance class practice or whatever. So Taylor's been in the OC for a significant amount of time, but like some of the other women, she went on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, sparked an interest in her, and then they brought her on the OC. So when we spoke about Jill Zarin, I think that she was sort of maybe anticipating I did the Real Housewives of Ultimate Girls Trip, like maybe something's in store for me, down the road, but we haven't seen that. So when
But
Bethenny came knocking and Bethenny and the producer probably got together, I feel like, and concocted it and then got a hold of Jill's people. Don't you think? That's what I think.
oh yeah, well now I don't think a lot of people know that that producer that I mentioned actually was behind it. I think they just thought it was an organic, like what we're doing right now. Okay, let's have an interview. No, this is a highly planned reunion.
Yes.
And that to me says something is Bethenny, I love that she is going in Five Below and the Dollar Tree. I mean, I'm a fan of those stores as well. Maybe she should go to Friendlies, like start to do she went to Olive Garden, but I'm like, Bethany, go to Friendlies. Like, go to, well, Starbucks might not let you in, like with filming, but, go to Cold Stone Creamery while you're at it. So, but I think all of that is behind, does she have enough viewers
Mm,
that this producer can pitch Bethany's own show? Like, I think she's trying to do a reality show.
yeah.
Maybe
I
Jill
mean,
will be on it.
so funny that you say that because who just started a cooking channel a couple of months ago? Teresa.
Oh,
And
Teresa. Mhm.
she looks like she has like it looks very professional. It's not what we're doing here. It's like a production crew is coming in and she is set all the way up and doing professional cooking shows. So it's funny that you say that, because I wonder if that's sort of the same thing. She's getting a YouTube channel going so that she can get her views up and use that to pitch to another network.
Or
Not
maybe
another
they're
network,
seeing.
but just a show.
Yeah, well, and then Bethany said something interesting, right? Because I am basically a Bethany analyst right now,
Expert.
expert, which is, she said, "Oh, and I make six figures with my podcast." She makes six figures, she said on her podcast.
Wow. Well, I mean, she has the contacts to do that. She knows all of the right people. You know, her fiance, he probably has great contacts, and people that sponsor for ads and such. That's what I would just assume how she's making all of her money.
I mean, I should look it up actually, Lindsay, because it might even be a little more. Um,
Really?
well, as we're talking, I'm gonna see if I can actually find how much she makes on her podcast.
Yeah, I want to know, because I thought it was an iHeart podcast. So wouldn't iHeart be
It
the one
is.
that's actually paying her, and they would be getting the sponsorships?
Yeah, I mean, she signed a deal. I know that. But it's saying, okay, I'll find it as we're talking. Because I think she definitely is making, there's even rumors that she's making money from these. Um, oh, wait, someone's saying that she might be paid between 10,000 and 30,000 per upload. No. No, I don't know. That might be about RHONJ. I was gonna say, I don't think that's a podcast. I was gonna say,
Uh,
you no, but she definitely she signed a multi-year deal with
mm,
iHeartRadio. I know that. And she definitely, I think she might be getting money from, like, especially TJ Maxx. If not, they need to be giving her money at
TJ
TJ
Maxx.
Maxx for all the exposure she does.
I know, but then she got mad at them because she realized that she wasn't buying actual name brand stuff.
Oh, the Manola Blahniks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and she got upset about that. And then they only offered her, I think, like a refund, and she was mad about that because she said she gave them so much free press. So she could be fibbing, but that's kind of where I think people get lost with Bethenny. Is she also made a statement? I don't know if this was a TikTok that she deleted, but she was like, "If I go to all the work basically to spearhead this shit, bet your ass I'm getting paid for it," right? So it's
Hmm.
like, again, with the money, you're like, if you're making six or seven figures, I don't know. I get
But
lost.
it says that her net worth is 80 million. So,
You think that's right? Maybe.
I mean, I saw it in, now looking up, I couldn't find the podcast deal, but apparently I looked up multiple sources and her net worth has been confirmed as 80 million.
Wow, she's a rich bitch.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, you would never work again.
but I do think she definitely is making money from YouTube, even though everyone knows, like, YouTube, it's not extravagant, but her podcast is definitely giving her at least a full-time, probably what she would have made in the Housewives. Maybe, right?
Maybe.
Maybe she got an offer her last season of the Housewives and saw that, wait, I could get this from podcasting, and then
Maybe. It's possible. I feel like iHeart's affiliated with NBC too, though. Like, because Tamara and Teddy they're through iHeart as
oh, that's
well.
right.
And we know Tamara, she probably had to get permission to do the podcast to be on the show. She doesn't talk Orange County, but she is on there talking Housewives. Is Heather Dubrow through iHeart as well?
I don't think so. I thought Heather Dubrow is through something called Podcast One.
Hmm. Okay, that's interesting.
Guess
Um,
what? Heather
what?
doesn't recap any of the RHOC this season. So I
Oh,
wonder, yep, Podcast One. So I wonder if the deal is, if you're not affiliated with NBC Universal Podcasting, then you can't recap the reality show.
well, Tamara's not recapping Orange County either. So
Oh, that's
I
right. Yeah,
feel
she's
like
not.
it's because
Yeah,
Tamara
yeah.
was like, if Heather's going to recap it, so the FMI. And then Bravo was like, okay. Pump the brakes. Neither one of you are recapping it. Go to your corners.
Well,
Go
do you ever wonder with two T's in a pod how they actually? Because I always wonder, even though it all seems organic, I assume they have talking points before them that are very specific. Like, you can't cross this boundary, Tamra. Like, I really feel, even like with Nene, isn't it interesting? From what I've heard, they haven't brought up anything about, or they brought up, I think, no. Teddy brought up Nene with Cynthia just for Cynthia to respond to what Nene said about her. But they are definitely not talking about any kind of reality strike. I could tell you that on two T's in a pod.
Well, of course not. Of course not. They don't want to be problematic. And Tamara's in good with Andy Cohen right now because she has been talking shit about Teresa, and she went on Watch What Happens Live, and they like had that setup question again about the most overrated housewife. And now we're
Oh,
seeing Gina from Orange County drop
yeah,
Teresa as the, well, she said she was Team Melissa,
yeah.
and they can't
Well,
stand.
wait. How about setup questions? Did you see what happened with Kelly Dodd on the Rick and Kelly show?
I did.
There's a
That's
prompter at Watch What Happens Live, allegedly, with
well,
even the bartenders.
now that Kelly came out and said that NBC got a hold of them, they made them take that video, like the footage of Bravo, out, even though they credit Bravo and they've used the clips before. But now they ran back the footage, and it looks like Shannon is like whispering to him. And so Kelly thinks that Shannon brought him there. And so when it probably was like a, a pre-prompted question or something, or she knew it was coming, and she like turns her chair and like puts her hand and like whispers to him. So was he lying? Because you should not don't break the fourth wall. Like, I couldn't even believe you said it was the teleprompter as the excuse the first time, but to lie and blame.
But they need Kelly. I mean, Kelly is right again. Like the way I feel about Siggy, like and Kelly. I mean, especially Kelly. You can't deny that she didn't bring the drama. Like even if you disagree with politics and all of that, I think that it's okay to have disagreements politically and us recognize who brought drama. And Kelly really provided fuel on that show. But I also really love Bronwyn. So like that's the thing is I think we can hold all of these balls in our hands. Like we can juggle
Mm-hmm.
different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Ebony on my show,
Oh,
and Ebony really on my podcast on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room, she really brought up, I asked her, Lindsay, one of my questions that I was just burning with was, did any of the housewives actually have conversations with you when the cameras went down when it came to the drama on the show? Like, did anyone actually try to remedy anything? And she said Sonia is the only one she really still talks to.
mm. That's powerful. I love Sonia. I
Yeah.
think that's because she's like a judgmental soul, because she is such a free soul, and she's unconventional, and so she can appreciate and love, anything that's not conventional inside the box. And I think Ebony is one of those people because she speaks out and she's not hesitant, because like, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and so people don't always like that. I think sometimes they just are bothered. It agitates them, and they don't like to be held accountable, and so they don't work well with
Yeah.
people that hold them accountable sometimes.
But like what I learned and what I so am appreciative with Ebony is she always wanted a conversation, like the conversation to happen. And she always gave the opportunity. You just saw how some of those women reacted,
Mm-hmm.
um, being territorial, in my opinion. Because I think when Ebony entered, especially right, Leah was already there. They saw, wait, is our clock ticking? Does this mean that the direction of the show's going a different way? But guess what? Without Ebony, I don't think we would have seen such a culturally representative current cast of RHONJ.
I agree with you
Like she brought
100%.
in this new show.
You're right. She paved the way for them. I agree with you with that. Actually, that's a really great point. I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right. I don't think that they would have had such a diverse cast because I think people received Ebony well. She just came in at like a wrong, bad time, you know?
I kind of wish even though I have to give Ebony, right? She has a great podcast out there called Holding Court. She has a new TV judge show coming out, which is amazing. Um, I do wish, though, maybe they will, maybe it's a surprise, but I do wish Ebony in some way, like, could have been part of this current cast. Like, even if it was that she mentored them or
Yeah.
like gave them advice. Like I wish they had broken the fourth wall at the beginning and been
Yes.
like, okay, we're gonna have a dinner with Ebony, like a Harlem Nights dinner, and she's gonna give advice to all of you about the housewives.
Yes. That would have been so cute. That would have been a great idea. I think that's a good idea.
Because
Because
that's what I'm missing. I'm
yeah.
missing I like the current cast of RHONJ, but I'm kind of missing um all the layers. I feel like we've jumped in really quickly with them. Like I kind of want to learn more about who they are separate from the cast.
Yes, we have. And I think that there was a cast member named Lizzie who's filmed for I think maybe just like a month or a couple of months. So I think it was allegedly challenging because they had to go back and cut essentially everything that she was in, any scene she was in, and cut her out essentially and tried to still have it make sense. So I think that's why the first couple of episodes were a little bit choppy. We were like a little confused, but now that I think it's great. And anyone that's not watching is seriously missing out because I think it's great. I love them.
Yeah. Who's your favorite, Lindsay?
I love Bryn. She's my favorite. And people were like, not, they were like hating on me for it. And then last week's episode came out and she was like pouring her heart out about her childhood. And now everyone's like, I love her. I'm like, I told you.
Yeah, no, I love Bryn and I like Aaron's spunk. Um
Me too.
yeah, I have to say I think Bryn now. Yes, Bryn after she revealed everything she went through, humanized it for me.
Yes.
Uba, I like her humor. I
I
do.
love her. I love her.
I do. I have to say, each of them plays like Sai. I see like her family, what she's bringing. Jessel, I think, definitely is about to have a marriage disaster on her hands. And I think the producers knew this. Like they're aware of what's happening. Right? Don't they say some women go on to get divorced?
They, I mean, possibly, a lot of times their marriages are like not in a great place. I think we see that with Drew Sador as well. Like they think that the show is going to save it, but the show forces them to like have conversations, and it either makes or breaks them, allegedly.
Yeah. But no, Jenna is so like I think at first maybe they thought Jenna would be the Greek chorus as a Bethany, but I actually think Jenna is more um a camera on the wall. Like in a good way. Like I think she's just watching everything as if it's a play
I love
and a
her.
soap opera. She's like, "Oh, okay. Um do I now go to the front door and leave?" Like she's
You are so right, though. She is, and she keeps saying it's because she does better one on one, or she doesn't go on girls' trips, so she's just sitting back and analyzing everything going on around her. That's hilarious.
yeah,
Oh my,
she's the true epitome of a wallflower. Um
yes.
but I'm hoping maybe she'll get in the mix soon. Well, I know I'm like going over time with you, but who do you think is there going to be a major firework moment? I don't know if there's going to be major fireworks on the show.
I don't know. I don't know what to expect because I don't know the cast that well. And they were pretty secretive about filming for New York just as much as they have been about Beverly Hills, which is so weird because like, we're watching Vanderpump Rules in live time, everything that's happening, but like New York and Beverly Hills, we don't get those opportunities. It's so weird how Bravo does that, but I don't know. I think they're gonna bring it. It's just gonna be in a more way because I think they're kind of testing the waters between New Jersey and New York. Dark, light, what's working, what's going to give us the ratings, and then they'll sort of take their narratives from there.
Oh, and is Real Girlfriends just gone now as a franchise? The Real Girlfriends of Paris? I think no one even, like, remembers that.
Oh my gosh, you're right. They must
'Cause
be.
well, 'cause I was like, was this gonna be Real Girlfriends of New York? I thought that was what was gonna happen if the Paris one did well.
I'm gonna make note of that because I want to look into that. I forgot about that. You're
Yeah.
right. And what about Dubai? We haven't heard anything about
They said
Dubai.
there's a new season, which I'm frankly really shocked.
Yeah, I
I
am too.
checked out. I'm like, I checked out of that. I didn't even watch the Paris. No offense to the women, but it seemed like they were trying to do an Emily in Paris, and it was just
Not working. Not working
no.
at
No,
all.
I do wonder if they're ever gonna do a New York and New Jersey mix, because I do think there's a lot of potential there. Because this is just being in New Jersey, and this is something that's always bothered me. It's not about the women, but they only show literally like a 10-mile radius in New Jersey, and I'm like, you're missing like all of the Jersey Shore people. You're missing all South Jersey. You're missing all Central Jersey. Like, I really think they could do a lot more in Jersey that, like, they used to always go to Atlantic City. I'm like, where's the Atlantic City trip? Where's like going to Philly? Like, there's no going around the Garden State.
I know that is really strange. I agree with you. You don't see them do that very often. Well, we get a really short season. Every year with New Jersey, we get a
Too
short
short.
season. 12, 13, barely 14 season or episodes that they've stretched out. So I don't know if that's again, I think it's the production companies. I
But
do.
thank goodness they gave these women their summer. If anything, like I heard Melissa went to Positano. I'm like, you go for it, girl. But because I
Thank
do think
God
we need
they got
something
their
else.
summer.
Like, I think we need the holidays. I think we need like a Jersey Halloween. I think we need um like maybe they'll actually now go to locations in Jersey that make more sense during the winter months. Because
Yes.
then you don't have all the Jersey Shore. You're gonna have to try to figure out other locations. But I mean, right, to just give geography lessons for a quick bit, Danielle is traveling the furthest. I mean, she lives right near Woodbridge and I think actually Sayreville. She's traveling like 50 minutes to
Mhm.
go to Franklin Lakes.
Yeah. I've heard that she lived a little bit out of the way. And you're
Yeah.
from New Jersey, right? You said that. What
Yeah,
are you
I'm from
from
there
South
originally.
Jersey, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I like grew up probably an hour from where Danielle is and like an hour 40 to Franklin Lakes.
Okay.
I grew
Gosh.
up near Cherry Hill in a town called Washington Township.
Shout out Washington
Shout out to Washington
Township.
Township.
They're Washington
Maybe they
Township.
could. I always thought there could be a Philly Housewives, but
I know. I
I think
know.
they just need to. I would like more of like the close cities to do something of a meeting. Like I know they're doing girls trip, but not a girls trip. Why don't they like actually mix them in during the seasons?
No, I don't know. I think because production, I think literally it's like different production companies are like even though it's evolution, they're still different producing the other franchises.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
my
even
opinion.
Teresa's wedding, I think people actually thought there were so many housewives. We didn't even get any housewife conversations with
Nothing.
any of the other cast. That
Nothing.
was weird to me.
I think that was weird too. I agree with you. They paid New Jersey cast, but other casts was guests like Kenya.
Yeah,
And I
Joe
also,
Zarin was there.
yeah, and I also thought it was weird that Andy Cohen wasn't in attendance, only because really they've been friends for like over a decade, and he could have easily stayed off camera, been cut out. Nobody even would have had him known he was there. Something, and I again like another sign there's something transpire. I don't know what the issue is between him and Teresa, but it's definitely maybe we'll see it this
Well,
season.
he's
We're
the
gonna see
housewife,
it.
Lindsay.
Huh?
He's like the god housewife.
Yes.
He
He's the
he
Regina
knows how to
George.
stir all the drama. He's pulling the strings.
Regina George from Mean Girls. He's the Regina George.
He's the head of the plastics.
Yes, the head of the plastics.
I always joke that maybe I'll see him on Fire Island. Who knows? If I ended up with Andy Cohen, I think it would be Well, I will just say when we were at the Behind the Velvet Rope show, I got a real look at just that housewife energy of what it means to stir up the drama, like to hear from Kim D what's going on behind the scenes. But even I sat next to Laura, and right, I've told you all here that I've messaged Margaret. So like Margaret and Laura know I'm like drinking Margaret's soiree while also like trying like talking to Laura and seeing that she's a good person, but I see Margaret's a good person. And I'm like, I just said to both of them, I'm trying to be the peacekeeper. I'm in the middle here, but at Behind the Velvet Rope, that live show, Lindsay, I just thought this is a microcosm of what it must feel like when you're on one of the reality shows when the cameras are up, like how heightened everything feels. Like I
Mhm.
can see why there's so much paranoia of like someone saying that about you, someone saying this. Because I've thought maybe I should be on a gay reality show, which I think I could bring a lot of narrative, but it's a lot. Like just
Yes,
seeing what they go through, you have to know how to tune out the noise. And
absolutely.
it's a
Not
lot of
easy.
energy.
For sure. That's so funny. I'm so glad that we were able to meet and come on and do a podcast. I don't want to keep you forever tonight.
This
I
was
really
great.
appreciate you joining me. Dr. Andrew, we're gonna
Oh,
put,
thanks.
of course, like I love having doctors as friends. So I will always shout, I'm like, this is my attorney friend. I'm like, this is my doctor friend.
Yeah, this is your
Andrew.
doctor of literature friend.
Yes, doctor,
That's what
Dr.
the Housewives though is all about. I will say what got me captivated about it is the narratives. Like that's why I'm so passionate is because I love dissecting their conversations.
I know, me too. It's interesting because it's a kind of like you're watching people and how they move in front
And
of
it's
other people.
made me stronger actually. It's made me more empowered and more assertive. Like I do think the Housewives have made me go through conflict resolution, and I don't know if I would have been so game to do it without seeing how these casts go through conflict resolution and seeing women like there's something about just the empowerment of women that I think is truly, we have to say, even though I can joke about Andy Cohen, I know there's a lot of right pressure on him right now doing the right thing, and I hope he does. It's not just him but NBC Universal, right? Not
Sure.
just Andy Cohen, but to give him his laurels, to have women of middle age have these complicated relationships is not seen a lot on TV. So it's groundbreaking. Like this is a
Absolutely.
groundbreaking series.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. 100%. And I think the audience like knows that too. That's why they're watching. That's why the ratings are what they are. And Teresa's popular. So, I mean, I'm looking for Melissa's fans. So I'm glad that I got to meet one who is a doctor finally. Cause I was like looking in my basement, I like looking everywhere today for fans of Melissa's. But, and God was like, here you go.
I do. I hope Melissa comes out with another song. I think maybe that should be her storyline, right? Everyone talks about storyline. Maybe Melissa should try to go do a show with Erica Jane. Could you
Yes.
imagine Erica and
Yes.
Melissa?
Oh, they'd be fighting over the starlight. Could you imagine? They'd be like doing mean things to each other's like lotion and makeup and like
Oh my god, it would be like the Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn film. Um what you know
was
what
it
I'm
Death
talking
Becomes
about.
Her?
Yes. Death becomes her.
Yes, yes. That's so funny. That's actually a really great idea. I mean, honestly, that's not about but Joe would never go for it. Could you imagine? He would never let Melissa go to Vegas
Mm,
without him
that's true.
and
But
dance.
well, he could do his comedy show
Sure, he could. Sure, for free.
for
If he
free.
wanted to pay people to come there to listen to him, then yes, he could do his comedy show.
Oh my god.
That's so funny.
I love it.
Oh, Dr. Andrew, so nice on you to come on. Guys, make sure that you check out his podcast, the Ivory Podcast. It's on all major platforms, and he is on TikTok and YouTube. And he has great content, great housewives content, and other great topics too. If you know, are more than just want more content than just housewives, that's a great podcast to check out. I appreciate you coming on.
Of course, of course. Yes, and everyone Follow me at Andrew David Rimby on Instagram. Some people think David's my first name. No, it's my middle name, but I like having it there in case I ever go on a reality show. They can call me Andrew David Rimby.
I love that.
But yeah, the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. TikTok, please. I love Lindsay and I. We're like our I'm learning so much from Lindsay's TikToks. And I'm on Instagram, Apple, Spotify, leave a review.
Yeah.
Loved this, Lindsay. It was just so fun chatting about all these housewives stories and narratives.
Yes. Thank you for bringing some gossip. You got me up to speed on some things I wasn't aware of, so I appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, I know how to fuel the fire, so to speak, in the gossip world. I just do it a little, it's not as in your face.
Right.
Bringing it with a side of sweetness.
A side of sweet
Yeah.
hot sauce with just a little touch of sweetness.
Yeah,
Sugar.
yeah. Oh, and wait, if I did ever go on a reality show, I think my tagline would be, you know, I have a PhD in literature, so I'll read you like a book.
I love that's a good one. That would definitely make it. I feel like Wendy might steal that from Potomac and just
I
replace it with what she has her PhD
That's
in.
true. Oh no. If Wendy, if you're listening, please credit me.
If she steals that, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna play this back.
Okay, well, thank you. I have the validation from Lindsay on my tagline.
Absolutely, because that's a good one. You don't
I
want
mean, it's
someone to
better
take
than
that.
another one that I thought. If I want to be like more, if I become like the sex symbol of the show, like I am single, but if I was like, if they went in the single flirty narrative, it could be, I have a PhD in English, and sometimes I wonder what the D stands for.
That's a good one. I
Okay,
feel
that's
like
enough.
Wendy could still steal, even though, like, the difference, she could still steal that,
She
actually,
could steal
though.
it, but I don't know if she's gonna go with the D punchline.
That's
uh,
true. That's true. But that's a good one. You're so funny,
I'll
Andrew.
just like keep. No. I'll stop now because I don't. I think
Don't
the
get me
audience, they've had enough of the
demonetized.
taglines. Okay.
Awesome. You're so funny. Thank you so much again. I hope you have a great night and we'll
Thank you.
chat soon.
Yes. We'll chat soon. Okay. Thanks. And bye to everyone out there.
Bye, guys.